Welcome, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to our conference on Populist Plutocrats, Lessons from Around the World. My name is Matthew Stephenson. I'm a professor here at Harvard Law School. You'll be hearing more from me in a little bit, but to kick off this morning's program, I'd like to welcome my colleague, friend, and dean of the Harvard Law School, John Manning, to welcome us here to this event. John?
Thank you very much, Professor Stephenson. Welcome to the law school. I am here to welcome you. I will not be able to attend today. My predecessors assure me I will be opening many conferences that I will not be attending, but I will also promise you that I will be brief. In 84 days on the job, I have not yet heard the complaint that the dean is not long-winded enough. Let me start by acknowledging my colleague, Matthew Stephenson, professor of law here at the law school. And where is Professor Zingalis? There is. And Professor Luigi Zingalis, the Robert C. McCormick Distinguished Professor of Entrepreneurship and Finance, and the Charles M. Harper Faculty Fellow at the University of Chicago Booth School of Business. Did I get that right? Yeah. And the director of the, it's a mouthful, and the director of the Stigler Center. Let me say one other word while I'm doing these introductions, which is happy birthday, Professor Stephenson. Let's give Professor Stephenson a round of applause on his birthday, please. So I want to thank Professor Stephenson and Professor Zingalis for creating three kinds of collaboration here. First, there is a collaboration across schools and programs. Second, there is a collaboration across disciplines, bringing together law, political science, economics, business, and journalism. Third, there is work across nations. In law, comparative law has become an increasingly common and powerful tool of analysis. It's a chance to look at other nations and other people, to shed light on and further understanding on the law. And today this conference will use the comparative lens to shed light and further understanding. Like all conferences, today is an opportunity for learning, for discussion, and for debate. And so without further delay, I give you my colleague and friend, Professor Stephenson.
Best birthday ever. So thank you all for coming. I'm just going to say a few words, brief opening remarks, and then we'll kick things over to our first panel. The first thing I want to make sure that I do is to extend some thank yous. There might be more at the end, but I want to make sure that I acknowledge my gratitude to the Harvard Law School, to Dean Manning, to his predecessor, Dean Martha Minow, to Bill Alford at the East Asian Legal Studies Program, who also provided support for this conference, and of course to Professor Zingalis and the Stigler Center for making this possible. I want to also make sure that I acknowledge right at the outset the absolutely fantastic administrative support we've gotten for this conference from teams both at the University of Chicago here at Harvard Law School. It would take too long to acknowledge everybody by name, but I want to make sure I at least acknowledge Jennifer Minich, my faculty assistant in the back, who's done an extraordinary amount of work making this event possible really tirelessly, and I want to make sure we give Jennifer a quick round of applause. I also want to thank, we have a number of student volunteers. They're wearing name tags and will for the most part be seated over here on the side. If you have questions or any issues come up, you need assistance, they will be here to help you. You have, I hope everyone was able to get a packet that has the conference agenda, bios of the speakers, instructions on how to get on the Wi-Fi, and all the other information you will need. And that's, I hope, will cover the logistics and practical aspects of the meeting. Let me just say a quick word or two at the outset about what this day I hope will be about and why we're having these discussions. So the purpose of this conference is to deepen our understanding of a particular political phenomenon. And I'm not sure we quite have the terminology for it quite right. But what the observation that motivates this discussion is that you see in many countries a particular kind of political leader, one who would seem elite by all ordinary definitions or understandings of that term, often who is very wealthy and well-connected, but who seeks and achieves and often maintains political power primarily by positioning him or herself as an outsider, as an enemy of the traditional elites, and as the representative of the common person, deploying populist political rhetoric, but who on top of that, whose governing style seems oriented primarily towards enrichment, self-enrichment, or the enrichment of the leader's family, loyalists, close allies, and cronies, such that you get a leader whose political style is populist, but whose governance style might be best characterized as crony capitalism at best, and maybe something worse. Now, we use the term populist plutocrats in the name of the conference. We're actually not sure that's quite the right terminology. We've played with some other language as well. But the purpose of this meeting isn't really to discuss terms. It's to discuss the phenomenon to see if we can understand it. So why hold a conference on this subject in this place at this time? The answer is probably pretty straightforward. This country, the United States of America, many people, myself included, believe that we're in a political moment where our president more or less fits this description. And it therefore seemed to me, partly as a researcher who studies corruption and anti-corruption, but partly as an American citizen, that it would be really useful to try to better understand this kind of phenomenon in comparative perspective. Because although there's a fair amount of discussion in some American media commentary about the extent to which the Trump phenomenon is unprecedented, while that might be true if you look at modern American political history, it's not at all true in the world, or at least so it seemed to me based on my admittedly superficial canvassing of other countries in their recent political history. So it seemed to me that there are many other countries out there who have had or still have leaders who bear some at least superficial resemblance, not only to Trump, but to each other, such that it might make sense to consider the parallels as well as the contrasts among them. So that's really the motivation for this event, that we will be able to deepen our understanding, not only as scholars, but also as citizens and political actors by broadening our horizons and comparing and contrasting a range of leaders across the world who seem to bear a kind of family resemblance in this regard. So that's our goal. We've got a great set of speakers lined up, and let me, without further ado, kick things off to our first panel, which will focus on Italy under Silvio Berlusconi. That panel will be chaired by Professor Zingales, who will introduce the other two panelists. Over to you.